Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we're going to be talking about the companion creatures from Matt Colville's Beastheart PDF thing that he made. So,
yes,
of course, very popular. Lots of people are big fans of this thing. If you are playing a Beastheart, you get a companion as part of your class.
Yes.
But
this is very important.
You can also use companions as like a sidekick or an additional party member of your party without having a Beastheart.
Yeah. Which is a good mechanic to have and be in mind of and consider adding, especially if you're playing with a smaller group. So giving those extra little companions might help give you some more combat options as a DM.
That's another reason, too, why we separated it from the Beastheart, because it can be used independently of the Beastheart.
Yes.
And also, there's 15 of these things, and to include 15 different creatures that each have 3 abilities, a signature attack, and oftentimes, I think all of them actually have a reaction or some kind of extra passive ability.
Yeah.
So we're talking 5 abilities for 15 creatures.
Yep.
To include that in a class video as well.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to have much commentary. So we wanted to do this. You are called the caregiver of the companion. And it has some rules on here. Basically, it suggests 1 companion per group. Just because it can bog down combat if a bunch of players have a companion.
Right.
It can also make encounter scaling difficult for DMs if you have a bunch of these things.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how sidekicks work with some of the rules in the official Wizards of the Coast 5th edition stuff. It talks about if the caregiver is charmed, then it commands the creature as if the creature was charmed as well, essentially, because
you can't attack the
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You're charmed. You're not going to tell your creature to attack something that you yourself wouldn't attack.
Right, because you're charmed by that target, so you can't say, he's making me feel all happy inside, but go hit him anyway.
Yeah,
that doesn't work.
And then part of it as well, the companion shares a turn with the caregiver and acts during the caregiver's turn.
Yep.
Companion can move and use their own reaction as and bonus action independently, but they can only take the dash, disengage, or dodge actions unless the caregiver uses a bonus action to command the companion to take a different action, including any of the actions noted in the companion stat block. So, all that being said, they must also be able to see or hear the caregiver to receive the command. And of course, as a Beastheart, you get bonuses to this as well, and eventually becomes where they can act independently and all that stuff as well. Keep that in mind.
Here's where things get fun and interesting. Like how the main mechanics of how this companion is designed.
Yes.
And the 2 main bits are around ferocity and rampage. Starting off with ferocity. It specifies that companions are dangerous creatures, though often more docile than their wild counterparts. They aren't fully domesticated. Kind of explaining why this whole bit can exist. He's like, well, he's my pet, he's my friend. Still a wild animal. Wild animal. Each companion's ferocity is a measure of their tenacity and fury and how those things build in battle. As a companion's ferocity increases, they also gain access to powerful new features, but they can also become more difficult for a caregiver to control, kind of almost like a bloodlust kind of thing, enrage kind of concept there. If a companion is incapacitated, at the start of their turn and their caregiver's turn, so it's kind of like, both there.
They act in the same turn.
So. I mean, it's, the start of their turn, and the turn they belong to, essentially, their ferocity increases by 1d4 plus the number of hostile creatures within 5 feet of the companion that they can see or hear. For the purpose of building ferocity, a group of creatures that share a single stat block, since a swarm of rats only count as 1 creature. Yeah. Ferocity builds round after round during combat. There is no maximum to the level of ferocity a companion can gain.
Yeah, so it's going to be something on you to keep track of, because that's a whole other
and you're thinking, like, there's no maximum? Well, there's a reason for that, because there are ways to dump it, which we will get to here in a little while. Next up is Rampage, and I'm going to try to get through this chunk as quickly as possible. So, if you need to slow me down, do so. After rolling to increase ferocity at the start of their turn, if the companion has 10 ferocity or more and is not incapacitated, they run the risk of entering a rampage. The companion's caregiver can make a wisdom animal handling check, no action required, to try to stop the companion from entering a rampage. To make the check, the caregiver must not be incapacitated, and the companion must be able to see or hear the caregiver. The DC for the check equals 5 plus the companion's ferocity. On a success, the companion acts normally on their turn. On a failure, or if the caregiver doesn't make the check, so it's one of those things, if your DM's on top of you making sure you're doing the thing you're supposed to be doing and you miss that, the companion enters a rampage. When in a rampage, they immediately move up to their speed toward the nearest creature and attack the creature with their signature attacks, which is a unique thing to each one, dealing extra damage equal to half their ferocity if the attack hits. If at least one ally and one enemy are nearest and equidistant, one of those fun words, to the companion, the caregiver's player rolls any die you've got on an odd number. The companion attacks an ally on an even number. The companion attacks an enemy. The caregiver's player determines which specific ally or enemy the companion engages. So a situation, or if it's two allies that are 10 feet apart, you can choose which one they were to attack. And or if there's two enemies that are both within 5 foot, you want to eat that little guy that's almost dead or whatever, you go get him. A companion who can't reach a creature to attack while in a rampage uses the dash action to move as far as it can toward the nearest creature. If the companion can't sense any potential targets, they move as far as they can in a random direction determined by the GM, avoiding dangers. Like if for some reason the creature is blinded or taking its smell away or hear away so that it can't see or whatever, then it just randomly runs in a direction. When a companion has entered a rampage, resolves their action or ends their turn, their ferocity drops to 0, and they're no longer in a rampage. Again, which is important because a lot of their extra abilities they get and things take ferocity in order as a resource. So if they go as a rampage and that then drops to 0 at the end of their turn, you aren't able to spend that ferocity to use a special ability of such.
Yeah, so if you can't dump it, it's gonna get wasted essentially.
Yeah,
so you got to keep track of it as a resource, which is going to be really important.
And be smart about it when you do it, because some of those really, really powerful ones take like 15, 16 ferocity to spend to do, but the longer you wait on pulling the trigger on that, the higher chance you have you're getting reduced back to 0.
Right. So speaking of reducing ferocity, you have a few options to do so. One is the ferocity actions, which each companion has 3 actions in their stat block that can cost ferocity to use. To use one, the companion must have a caregiver with a character level equal to the ferocity actions level. So basically what this is it's going to have like a level 1, level 3, level 5, whatever. For example, you can't use that ferocity action unless your character who's controlling said companion is of that level.
Yep.
And then if the companion doesn't have enough ferocity to spend, they can't use the action, obviously, because they don't have enough points to do so.
That's right.
Ferocity actions always use the companion's action, meaning they can't be used as part of an opportunity attack.
Right.
Very important.
Yeah.
Ferocity actions can't be used while a companion is in a rampage. So, if they hit the rampage before you burn it, you're not going to be able to control it.
You done missed it.
And then the other way on here is end of combat. At the end of combat, and the companion isn't dying, the companion regains hit points equal to their ferocity, and the ferocity drops to 0. And of course, the DM determines when combat actually ends.
Yes.
So, as usual. All right, so we're getting close. We're almost there.
Yes.
There's lots of little important things that can make a difference on here. Another thing on here is dying companions. When a companion is reduced to 0 hit points, they make death saves just as characters do. Characters thus always have a chance to save their furry or scaly or slimy or exoskeleton-y friends.
Oh, I've never heard that adjective used before.
If combat ends while a companion is dying, the ferocity drops to 0, but they don't regain hit points. So that is something to keep in mind as well. There. Statistics, basically, they're just going to scale with you as you level up. But if you're a Beastheart, they're going to scale with you better.
Yes.
Because that's just how it works.
It's kind of your specialty. And the other things it mentions in here, like, the not the norm and hit die thing, about, normally if you see the two of these creatures next to each other, like a Bulette, for example, may not have the exact same stat block as a full-on Bulette.
Yeah, because that might be a little ridiculous.
Yeah, compared to the giant Weasel, that's another option, or the giant frog. There's two. In actual 5th edition combat, you encounter those 3 things. One of these things is not like the other 2, and how much concerned you are to run into it, depending on what level you're at. So those are modified to be more evenly balanced as closely as possible. Same thing with the hit die. Normally, hit die is based on the size of a creature, so a tiny creature is going to have a D4 hit die. Bigger creatures have bigger hit die. Well, this is it's D8 across the board to keep everything as balanced. So you're not pigeonholed into choosing what's mechanically best specifically.
Right.
You've got some options for flavor, so you can play what you want to play.
Yes, and then the signature attack and ferocity actions, again, just going through those. The signature attack is basically just their bread and butter ability.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily anything special, but it's
no WWE finisher up in here for what they're able to do. No people's elbow.
It does specify that it is always a melee attack, though,
Yes.
so that is important.
Yeah.
And it's typically their best natural attack.
Yeah.
And then they always use their signature attack when they enter a rampage, and some of the features of the Beastheart class make reference to a companion signature attack. So if you're coming here from Beastheart, knowing what a signature attack is important to understanding some of the abilities with the Beastheart. And then the special actions, of course, we kind of discussed that before as well. So, most of those main things aside here, we'll get into the actual companions now. All that stuff is important to know to understand how these work and
mechanics and such.
It is what it is.
Yes.
We're going to put up the stat blocks on the screen.
Yep.
We're only going to discuss the abilities. So, if you want to look at the armor class and hit points and movement and all that stuff, that's on you. You can pause it and check all that stuff out. Yep. We're going to go over the abilities because that's the main important part of
and that's what mechanically makes them different.
Yes. So, first up, we have the Basilisk companion. Signature attack is a bite for 1d6 plus proficiency bonus piercing damage. Okay. Reach of 5 feet. Plus 3 plus PB. First level ability, Poison Spittle. 2 ferocity. To use it, Basilisk makes a signature attack. On a hit, attack deals an extra PB damage, which proficiency bonus is PB. So, we're going to stay that.
From henceforth to be known as.
And a creature the Basilisk chooses within 5 feet of them, other than the target, takes PB bonus poison damage. Whew. If you're a 3rd level caregiver, you get access to Poison Gaze, which is 5 ferocity to use. Basilisk chooses up to 3 creatures it can see within 15 feet. Each creature must succeed a DC 10 plus PB con save or become poisoned until the start of the Basilisk's next turn. If you're a 5th level caregiver, you have access to Lesser Petrifying Gaze, which costs 8 ferocity to use. Basilisk targets a creature they can see within 30 feet of them, which must make a DC 10 plus PB con save. On a failure, the creature magically begins to turn to stone and is restrained. Creature must repeat the saving throw at the end of their next turn. On a success, the effect ends. On a failure, the creature is petrified for 1 hour or until freed by a Lesser Restoration spell or similar magic. Lesser Restoration normally doesn't negate the petrified condition, but the companion's Lesser Petrifying Gaze is weaker than other forms of petrifying magic for those of you who are sticklers on the rules.
That's right.
So it is mentioned. And then they have a reaction for a Heavy Glare. When the Basilisk caregiver hits a creature that can see the Basilisk can force that creature to make a DC 10 plus PB con save. On a failure, target can't make opportunity attacks and has their speed reduced by 10 feet until the start of their next turn. So, looking quickly at this one, the Petrifying Gaze could be pretty ridiculous, depending, though it is a con save. So,
and it's going to cap out at 16 DC, saving throw. It's going to cap out at that. Right. So it's not going to be some crazy high.
Right, but the chance,
the chance is there.
And then if they, fail it twice and they're petrified for an hour, I can just remove a creature from combat entirely from a companion.
So, but they got to fail it twice. Not a high save, but there is a chance.
You get some extra uses for some extra damage on here and some a little bit of utility with the poison condition, which is I'll take.
Next up is the Bloodhawk companion. Its signature attack, of course, is its beak, not its talons, even though it may have very large talons. It's a great reference. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Weapon attack is, of course, chance to hit is +3 plus your proficiency bonus to hit with a range of 5 feet. On a hit, it is 1d6 plus PB piercing damage. At level 1, we have Distracting Attack that costs 2 ferocity. The Hawk makes a signature attack, and on hit, attack deals its normal damage and effects. And the next attack made against the target before the start of the Hawk's next turn has advantage. So it's essentially a guiding bolt for a Hawk attack.
Yeah, which is nice.
Love that. Next up at 3rd level, we have Swooping Attack that costs 5 ferocity. The Hawk moves up to their speed without provoking opportunity attacks. During or at the end of this move, it can make its signature attack against one target on a hit. The attack deals its normal effects, and the target must succeed on a DC 10 plus proficiency strength saving throw or drop one item they are holding. So it's like you peck them on the hand and make them drop their shield.
That's a very interesting utility ability.
Yep.
Just could have some weird uses to that.
Yes. You can drop their shields, so they lose their AC goes down by 2.
There you go.
Boom. Finally, we have the 5th level Storm of Talons that cost 8 ferocity. The Hawk moves up to their speed without provoking opportunity attack. There's pattern there. And then one can target one creature within 5 feet of them, which must make a DC 10 plus PB dexterity saving throw. On a failure, the target takes PB D6 slashing damage and is blinded until the end of the Hawk's next turn. On a success, the target takes half as much damage and is not blinded. So that's going to cap out at 6d10 slashing damage and being blinded.
That's a pretty good chunk there for a companion.
That's a good chunk. And finally, the reaction is Swoop In, which is once per long rest. When the hawk is within 30 feet of their caregiver and the caregiver is hit with an attack, the hawk can move up to their speed without provoking opportunity attacks. If the hawk ends his movement within 5 feet of the caregiver, the hawk is hit by the attack instead, and the attack deals half as much damage.
Yeah, so
cool interceptability there.
Yeah, there's definitely some interesting utility for that one and some RP potential for sure.
Yes.
Next up, we have the Bulette Companion. With this one, same deal with signature attack, a D6, same hit and reach. So we're just gonna say that that's the default from here on out. If there's anything different, we'll make note of it. First level, you have Violent Attack, 2 Ferocity. Bulette makes a signature attack on hit. Attack deals an extra PB damage, and the Bulette can move the target 5 feet in any direction. So you get a little bit of battlefield control with this one. You can move enemies around, maybe align them up with other allies, or line them up for AoE abilities, things like that. So you have a little bit of utility.
Give me that line with that lightning bolt spell coming out. That's right.
Third level, you have Burrowing Trip for 5 Ferocity. Bulette moves up to half their burrowing speed without provoking opportunity attacks. Each creature standing on the ground that the Bulette moves under must succeed a DC 10 plus PB Dex save or fall prone. So your martial characters are going to be big friends to this Bulette on here. Setting them up for some good advantage out there. The ranged characters, not quite so much. At 5th level, we have Deadly Leap, which is a signature Bulette move for those of you Monster Manual friends. The Bulette leaps up to 30 feet, and if they land in a space that contains one or more creatures, each of those creatures makes a DC 10 plus PB strength save. On a fail, creature takes PB D6 bludgeoning damage and is knocked prone. On a success, creature takes half damage, isn't knocked prone, and is pushed 5 feet out of the Bulette's space into an unoccupied space of the creature's choice. If no unoccupied space is available, creature instead is knocked prone in the Bulette space. So if they can't be pushed back, they're knocked prone. So
just sits on them. Basically just sits on them.
So you get some good
also, don't
here.
forget, it has plated protection. The Bulette's caregiver can ride on the Bulette while it's burrowing.
Yeah, so that's a fun little thing on there.
That's fantastic.
So, that's the Bulette.
Next up is one of those fun words we like to throw out at people. We can't just say Raptor Companion. We have to do Deinonychus Companion because that's what we're going to do in here. It's a little baby raptor that does lots of fun things. Again, it is a bite signature attack. It's the same as all the previous ones thus far. First level, we have Overwhelming Attack that costs 2 Ferocity. The Deinonychus makes a signature attack, and on hit, the attack deals an extra PB damage. And the target can't take reaction to the start of the Deinonychus' next turn. Thanks for giving me the fun one to read.
Yes, calculated.
And probably my favorite thing I'm going to read in this entire video, third level, Clever Girl. 5 Ferocity, the Deinonychus can take the hide action that make a signature attack, or make a signature attack, then take the hide action. If the Deinonychus hits with a signature attack, they also knock the target prone.
No save.
There is no save.
Yeah. Ooh, okay.
Deinonychus can move between their hide action and their attack, or vice versa, even if such movement would normally negate an attempt to hide. So you're smaller, agile, get in there and whop on and where'd he go? In this case, where did she go? It does say Clever Girl. Anyway, 5th level, Keep Them Down. Cost 8 Ferocity. The Deinonychus leaps at another creature within 5 feet of them, which must make a DC 10 plus BB Dexterity saving throw. On a failure, the target takes PB D12 damage, which is just a weird concept to read.
It is.
PB D12. Slashing damage, it is knocked prone and grappled.
Ooh.
On a success, the target takes half as much damage, isn't knocked prone or grappled. A creature knocked prone by this feature can't stand up until they are no longer grappled. If the Deinonychus attacks or uses its Keep Them Down on another target, the grapple ends.
That's really interesting, actually. You keep them down
because they're you're not only are you knocking them prone, they're forced to stay prone. They can't use their movement to get up until they.
Yeah, that's. They
got to escape that grapple first.
I like that one. That's interesting.
I mean, she's a clever girl. And finally, the bonus action. It's not a reaction. It's bonus action. Part of the pact once per long rest. When Deinonychus' caregiver is charmed, frightened, or stunned. Ooh.
Save me, Daddy.
While within 5 feet of the Deinonychus, I can end one of those conditions on the caregiver. It's like charmed, frightened, cool, but just negating a stun.
I'll take it.
I think we got an early front runner here, boys.
Yeah, that's a good one on there. Next up, we have the Dragon Wyrmling Companion, which is absolutely huge stat block. So have fun with this one. All right.
You made me read Deinonychus, so you get the long one.
Bite signature attack as normal. First level, we have Spit Breath. 2 ferocity. Wyrmling makes a signature attack as a ranged weapon attack. This is the first time that we've thus far found out where the signature attack has the ability to not be a melee attack.
Yep.
So that's nice. With a normal range of 30 feet and a long range of 60, on hit, the extra attack deals an extra PB damage, and all the damage dealt by the attack is the type associated with the Wyrmling's lineage instead of piercing damage. So, there you go. Give you a little bit of range option. Third level, you have Frightful Presence at 5 ferocity. Each creature of the Wyrmling's choice within 10 feet and aware of them must succeed a DC 10 plus PB Wisdom save or become frightened of the Wyrmling for 1 minute. Creature can repeat the saving throw, ending the effect on themselves on an excess at each of their turns. If creature's saving throw is successful, it is immune to the Frightful Presence for the next 24 hours, which is pretty standard for dragons, so that's nothing new there. 5th level, Breath Weapon, 8 ferocity. Wyrmling exhales elemental energy that fills an area. Creatures in that area must make a DC 10 plus PB saving throw, taking PB D6 damage on a failed save or half as much on a success. Damage type, area, and type of saving throw are determined by the Wyrmling's Draconic lineage trait. So, as is normal on here, black or copper is acid with a 5 by 30 foot line, dex save. Silver and white is cold, 15 foot cone, con save. Brass is fire. Gold red is fire, though brass is a 30 foot line with dex and versus a 15 foot cone with dex for gold and red.
Interesting that those are separated that way, but go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Blue and bronze is lightning, 5 by 30 foot line, dex save, and green is poison, of course, with the 15 foot cone, con save. So if you're familiar with dragons, that's nothing really out of the norm for those.
And do want to specify as well with the dragon baby that you do pick the Draconic lineage when you get that, so
yes.
That's what its damage type's also being affected by, and you also do get shared resistance. So, Wyrmling's caregiver has resistance to the damage type associated with the dragon lineage and takes no damage from the Wyrmling's breath weapon. So you can just stand right there in the middle of it and be like...
Give him the old bait and switch.
Yeah, I was like, and present for you. Next up, we have the Earth Elemental Companion. Signature attack. It's going to be the same as the rest of them. It's bludgeoning damage, though, instead of piercing, because, it's a rock. You don't normally pierce things with rocks unless it's a very sharp, pointy rock, but in general rule, you get smashed with a rock. It just hurts because it's hard and heavy.
Yes.
First level, we have Stretch Attack. The elemental makes a signature attack with a reach of 10 feet. And on a hit, the attack deals an extra PB damage, and the elemental can pull the target 5 feet toward them.
Okay.
Third level, we have Earthshaker, which costs 5 ferocity. As all these so far have gone 2, 5, and 8. And one of the ferocity counts as we go. The elemental strikes the ground, and each creature within 10 feet of them must succeed on a DC 10 plus PB dexterity saving throw, be knocked prone. The elemental's caregiver automatically succeeds on the saving throws. Almost you're so used to it doing that, so you're just like, okay, it's fine. And we have 5th level, we have Transmute Ground. The elemental picks a 10-foot square of the ground they can see within 30 feet of them. Each creature standing in the area must succeed on a DC 10 plus PB strength saving throw, or be partially sink into the ground and become restrained. A creature can use their action to make a DC 10 plus PB strength athletics check, freeing themselves or another creature within their reach on a success in the restrained condition for the freed creature. And the bonus action is... all right. Sometimes, Matt, you get me. Toss me. While the elemental is within 5 feet of their caregiver, they can hurl the caregiver 5 times PB feet in any direction, including up. Love that. If the caregiver would normally take damage from fall being thrown, they can negate the damage with a successful DC 15 dexterity saving throw.
Interesting. So I think with the restrained condition on the level 5 one, the ability to soak up an action is always good. Plus, it's a restrained condition, so...
Yes.
Yep, I'll take it. Moving on, we have the Gelatinous Cube Companion.
And I do thoroughly love the picture they use. It's got shields for eyes and like swords and daggers for teeth. And
the art in these PDFs is just...
top notch.
Top. All right. You do have flowing form. These are some passives on here, which are kind of important, I guess. While in the same space as the cube, caregiver can attack and interact with creatures engulfed by the cube without harming or taking damage from the cube. So you can do some shenanigans with that if you're clever. And they're also transparent, which, even when in plain sight, it must take a DC 10 plus PB perception check, wisdom, to spot a cube that has neither moved nor attacked. A creature that tries to enter the cube's space while unaware of the cube takes 1d6 acid damage and can't enter the space. So you can set some kind of weird traps where you just let it stand still in front of you and you're like attacking and then people run into it because they don't see it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's some shenanigans in there, which I had to mention. And then the signature attack is the same, but it's acid damage. So that's nice.
Yep.
An elemental type for the signature.
Love it.
And then first level, Burning Acid, 2 Ferocity as normal. Cube, it makes a signature attack with a reach of 10 feet. On a hit, attack deals an extra PB damage, and the target that takes damage from the attack can't regain hit points until the start of your next turn. I have a feeling Alex likes that ability.
I do.
Third level, Slime Shower, 5 Ferocity. Cube spins rapidly, raining a shower of sticky, acidic slime around them. Each creature within 5 feet of the cube must succeed a DC 10 plus PB Dex save or take 1d6 acid damage and have their speed reduced to 0 until the start of the cube's next turn. The caregiver automatically succeeds on the save. So a good way to root some stuff in the ground, a little bit of utility on there. And then 5th level, Engulf for 8. Cube attempts to pull a large or smaller creature within 5 feet of them into their body. Creature must make a DC 10 plus PB Dex save. On a failure, target enters the cube space without provoking opportunity attacks, takes PB D6 acid damage, and is engulfed. On a success, creature takes half damage, doesn't move, and isn't engulfed. An engulfed creature can't breathe, is restrained, and takes PB D6 acid damage at the start of each of the cube's turns. When the cube moves, the engulfed creature moves with them. An engulfed creature can try to escape by taking an action to make a DC 10 plus PB strength check. On a success, creature escapes and enters a space of their choice within 5 feet of the cube. Cube can engulf 1 large creature or up to 4 medium or small creatures at a time.
Eat them all.
So, yeah, that is huge, and you can move, you can engulf something, move them around, and then you also have to make them waste their action to get out of it, which is huge. So I'm a big fan of the Gelatinous Cube, and I would love to have one of these bad boys as a companion.
That's right. Next up is the Giant Spider, which has a same signature attack. It does have Spider Climb, Web Sense, so while in contact with the web, the spider knows the exact location of any other creature in contact with the said web, and has Web Walking because it's a spider. It can ignore movement restrictions caused by webbing. If it can't, it's not a spider. Okay, on to the actual abilities here. We have Destabilizing Attack for 2 Ferocity at level 1. The spider makes a signature attack. On a hit, the attack deals its normal effects. Target has disadvantage on the next attack roll they make before the start of the spider's next turn. Not bad. The opposite of a guiding bolt, essentially. Then we have Web that costs 5 Ferocity. The spider shoots strands of sticky webs at one creature they can see within 60 feet of them, which is a huge range. Target must succeed on a DC 10 plus PB, a dexterity saving throw, be restrained by the webbing. As an action, the restrained target can make a DC 10 plus PB strength check, bursting the webbing and ending the restraint condition on themselves on a success. And like James said earlier, anytime you have a chance to take somebody's action away from them,
those are huge.
Those
ones are
fantastic. Because you're trading your bonus action to have them do that, you'll take that.
Yeah, for sure.
And finally, with level 5, we have the 8 Ferocity Bite Frenzy. Spider makes signature attack against PB creatures of their choice within 5 feet of them. On a hit, the target is poisoned. Okay. No save until the end of their next turn. So just one turn, but it is no save. And finally, for the bonus actions, we have Sticky Stuff once per long rest. While the spider's caregiver is within 5 feet of it, the spider can coat the bottom of the caregiver's feet or footwear in a selective adhesive. This allows the caregiver to move up and down and across vertical surfaces and upside down along ceilings while leaving their hands free, giving the caregiver a climbing speed while their walking speed. Adhesive wears off after 10 minutes.
So your spider gives you spider climbing.
Yeah, you're Spider-Man for 10 minutes.
There you go. Moving on to the Giant Toad Companion. So, signature bludgeoning damage. First level stretch attack, 2 Ferocity. Toad makes a signature attack with a reach of 10 feet using their tongue. On a hit, attack deals an extra PB damage, and the toad can pull the target 5 feet towards them. Third level, Fast Food, 5 Ferocity. Toad makes a signature attack. On hit, attacks deals its normal effect, and the toad can jump up to 20 feet in any direction without provoking opportunity attacks. If the target of the attack is large or smaller, the toad brings the target with them. Being able to move something 20 feet is, I would say, pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't care about your companion and you say, see you later, jump that thing off a cliff. I mean, if you're heartless, that's the thing. So, okay.
Yep.
I had to say it. Someone had to say it.
Someone had to be said.
And then 5th level, you have Swallow for 8 Ferocity. The toad attempts to swallow a medium or smaller creature within 5 feet. It must make a DC 10 plus PB Dex save. On a fail, target takes PB D6 bludgeoning damage and is swallowed. On a success, takes half damage and isn't swallowed. So while the target is blinded and restrained, they have total cover against attacks and other effects outside the toad, and they take PBD6 acid damage at the start of each of the toad's turns. The toad can have only one target swallowed at a time, not like the Gelatinous Cube.
That's right.
Whenever the toad takes damage, they must succeed a con save or regurgitate the swallowed creature, which falls prone in a space within 5 feet of the toad. DC for the save equals 10, or half of the damage the toad takes, whichever is higher. If the toad is incapacitated or dies, the swallowed creature is no longer restrained by the toad and can escape from the corpse using 5 feet of movement, exiting prone. So just typical swallowed rules basically on here. So interesting on there. And then bonus action, we have a 1-a-day psychedelic skin. While the toad's caregiver is within 5 feet, the toad can use a bonus action to coat a melee weapon held by the caregiver with poison secreted from the toad's skin. Poison lasts for 1 hour or until the weapon deals damage as part of an attack. When the creature takes damage from the weapon, they must succeed a DC 10 plus PB con save or become poisoned for 1 minute. The creature can repeat the save at the end of their turns, ending the effect on themselves on a success. So a way to deal some poison condition, potentially.
That's right. Next up is probably one of the easier ones, with the giant Weasel.
Weasel.
He has keen hearing and smell, and he has treasure sense. Treasure sense.
Oh, wow.
Oh, goodness. The Weasel can pinpoint by scent the location of precious metal stones, such as coins and gems, within 10 feet of them. So not crazy dip, but if you're wandering around somewhere, he just happens to maybe find a gem that got dropped and kicked into a corner. It's in a mud hole.
There you go.
He knows where it's at, that guy. He has a signature attack of a bite. Pretty standard there. First level, we have overwhelming attack. The Weasel makes signature attack. On a hit, it deals an extra PB damage, and the target can't take reaction until the start of the Weasel's next turn, when we've seen before. And we have Clamp Down, third level that costs 5 ferocity. The Weasel makes a signature attack. On hit, the attack deals its normal effect, and the target is grappled with escape DC of 10 plus proficiency bonus. While grappled, the target is restrained, and the Weasel can't bite another target. And finally, we have Bite Frenzy again at level 8 ferocity, level 5. The Weasel makes signature attack. The Weezer, that's a band. Makes signature attack against PB creatures of their choice within 5 feet. On a hit, the attack of the attack is knocked prone. So just like the spider.
Yes. Then we have our Hellhound companion. Once a day, we have Consult Hell. The Hound's caregiver can talk to the Hound about a specific course of action that the caregiver plans to take within the next 30 minutes, tapping into divinatory power through the Hound's connection to the infernal realm. After 1 minute, the Hound then gives a response based on its own objective prophetic sense of the outcome. 1 bark for good results, 2 barks for bad results, 3 barks for both good and bad results, and no barks for results that aren't especially good or bad. I don't know why that just found me funny, but
it tickled his funny bone.
Then you have your signature attack, same as normal. First level, Lava Spittle. Hound makes a signature attack on hit, deals an extra PB damage, and a creature the Hound chooses within 5 feet other than the target takes PB fire damage. So it has to be next to something else.
Right, kind of explodes off of it like an acid splash spell.
Yeah. Not huge. Not a big fan of those things being next to each other or stuff, but it is what it is. Yep. Third level, you have Brutal Charge. Hound can move up to their speed without provoking opportunity attacks. During or at the end of the move, they can make a signature attack against the target. So it's a run-by, drive-by, bite attack.
Yep.
Sure. Fifth level, Fire Breath. Hound exhales fire in a 15-foot cone. Creatures must make a DC 10 plus PB dex save, taking PB D6 fire damage, or half as much damage on a success. Whew. Getting close to the end here.
Oh, then we have the Mimic companion. And again, the artwork, he's
so good.
He's adorable.
He's so good.
He's here to help, and he's here to do lots of fun and creative things. He's a shape changer. The Mimic can use their action to polymorph into an object or back to their true amorphous form. Their statistics are the same in each form. Any equipment they are wearing or carrying isn't transformed. The Mimic reverts to their true form if they die. False appearance, object form only. While the Mimic remains motionless, they are indistinguishable from an ordinary object. Has a signature attack of a bite, which is, again, standard. Has a distracting attack for 2 ferocity. The Mimic makes a signature attack on a hit. The attack deals its normal effects, and the next attack made against the target before the start of the Mimic's next turn has advantage. Then we have Adhesive Pseudopods. The Mimic, for 5 ferocity, 3rd level, the Mimic attempts to touch each creature of their choice within 5 feet of them. Each creature must succeed on a DC 10 plus BB dexterity saving throw or be grappled with escape DC of 10 plus PB. Finally, for level 5 and 8 ferocity, we have I'm You. Mimic uses their shape changer trait to polymorph into one large or smaller creature they can see within 5 feet of them, with this form lasting until the start of the Mimic's next turn. Other than size, the Mimic's statistics do not change. After transforming, the Mimic can make a signature attack against the creature whose form they have taken, and the creature must make a DC 10 plus PB Wisdom saving throw. On a failure, the creature has disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws, and attacks against the creature have advantage to the start of the Mimic's next turn.
That one's just weird.
It's basically you're screwing with the creature's head. So And finally, we have the bonus action of Wearable Companion. While the Mimic is within 5 feet of the caregiver, can cover the caregiver's body and take on the appearance of clothing. While wearing the Mimic, the caregiver can change the appearance of the clothing at will, no action required, as long as they're not incapacitated. Has advantage on stealth checks. Any attack that hits the caregiver also hits the Mimic, and vice versa, with both taking the full damage and the effect of the attack. While worn this way, the Mimic can't move or take actions except to revert to their most recent form. A bonus action, which ends the state of being worn by their caregiver. If the Mimic enters a rampage, the state of being worn ends immediately, and while the Mimic is no longer worn by the caregiver, the Mimic enters the nearest unoccupied space of their choice.
Whew.
But he is adorable in that picture, let's be real.
It seems like it's a little bit more on the RP side from what we've seen from some of these.
For sure.
Owlbear Companion.
Oh, yes.
Because why not?
Yes, you should.
You got your claw signature attack. Normal on there, slashing damage. First level violent attack. Owlbear makes a signature attack on hit, deals extra PB damage. It can then move the target 5 feet in any direction. Again, just a little bit of utility to move stuff around. Third level, we have Owly Oop. Owly, oh my gosh.
That one got me.
Oh my gosh. It took me a second. I'm slow today.
It's okay.
Owlbear leaps up to 20 feet without provoking opportunity attacks. When they land, each creature within 5 feet of them must succeed a DC 10 plus PB strength save or be knocked prone. So again, we're getting some similar themes here with knocking stuff prone, moving stuff around, similar things. Different combinations. Different combinations of those things. Fifth level, we have Bear Hug. Owlbear attempts to grab and crush a creature within 5 feet of them they can see. Must make a DC 10 plus PB dex save. On fail, target takes PB D10 bludgeoning damage and is grappled with escape DC 10 plus PB. On success, target takes half damage and is not grappled. Until grapple ends, target is also restrained. Grapple ends if the Owlbear uses Bear Hug on another target. And then we have a bonus action, Give a Hoot. Because why not? One per long rest, Owlbear lets loose a unique battle cry. If the Owlbear's caregiver can hear the cry, they gain 5 times PB temp HP.
That's nifty.
All right.
Next up is the Sporeling Companion. Again, absolutely adorable artwork in there. His action is the Corrupted Cough for signature attack, which actually does acid damage. So I did specify that. Has a false appearance while the Sporeling remains motionless. They are indistinguishable from an ordinary mushroom, fungus.
Fungi.
It has a destabilizing attack for its 2 ferocity. The Sporeling makes a signature attack, and on hit, the attack deals its normal damage. The target has disadvantage on the next attack roll made before they start the Sporeling's next turn. At 3rd level, for 5 ferocity, we have Spore Burst. Each creature of the Sporeling's choice within 5 feet must succeed on a DC 10 plus PB Constitution saving throw or become poisoned until the start of the Sporeling's next turn. At level 5, we have Hallucinogenic Spores for 8 ferocity. Each enemy within 10 feet of the Sporeling must make a DC 10 plus PB Wisdom saving throw. On a failure, the Sporeling chooses whether the target creature uses their reaction to make a melee attack against another creature of the Spoeling's choice within the target's reach, or whether the target creature falls prone. The bonus action is Invigorating Spores once per long rest. While the Sporeling's caregiver has been 30 feet of them, the Sporeling can use a bonus action to give the caregiver advantage on saving throws for 1 minute.
Oh, wow.
That's nifty.
That's pretty solid.
That's
a pretty solid one there.
Yep.
Yeah, so, that's some... Yeah, that's pretty big, actually. And then lastly, we made it. Oh, wow. I have to take a big drink of water after this.
That's right.
I don't think I've read this much in my life.
not in school, anyway.
Jokes. All right. Worg Companion. Move as one. While Worg's caregiver is mounted on the Worg, opportunity attacks against the Worg or the caregiver are made with disadvantage. Worg's caregiver can mount or dismount by spending only 5 feet of movement. The actions we have are Bite, which is piercing damage, normal. First level, Overwhelming Attack. Worg makes a signature attack on hit, deals extra PB damage, and target can't take reactions until start of the Worg's next turn. Third level, we have Brutal Charge. Worg moves up to their movement speed without opportunity attacks. During or at the end of the move, they can make a signature attack, so drive by again. And 5th level, Bite Frenzy. Worg makes bite attack against PB creatures of their choice within 5 feet. On hit, target is knocked prone. So just a different mixture of stuff we've already seen before.
And specify, this one actually doesn't have a reaction or a bonus action because it has that move as one thing, basically allowing you to get more movement speed and be a mounted combatant, and that creates some fun extra things for your team to worry about.
Yes.
So we have made it to the end of the list. Wow. Quickly, personally, a couple do stand out as fun, interesting, unique, for sure in there, and some are more standard, whatever, which is fine because it gives you a little bit of all the different options in there. Don't want this video to go on much longer than it already has. It's so long.
And now you know why we split it up.
Yeah, for those of you guys that did vote on the poll for us to do one big, ginormous, long video, we appreciate it. That was our original plan until we saw there's 15 companions to go over with each having their own unique abilities on top of the other things that are in the class as well. And the fact that, as Jameson pointed out early, you can play these companions separate from being attached to the Beastheart.
Right.
It's just if you play Beastheart, you're going to get a lot more bonuses with these, and they're going to scale up even more with you and be designed to fit that way.
Yeah, for sure. And just one last parting thought I want to throw on here is, for those of you very distraught Beastmaster Rangers, I would discuss with your DM if you could substitute your animal companion for the Beastmaster Ranger with a companion from this, because it will scale much better.
Yes, it will.
And
just because you have those ferocity mechanics.
I think even more so than the updated Beastmaster Ranger, though. That was a little bit better because you could change it between stuff. So definitely a thought on there. Really cool, interesting ones on here. Gelatinous Cube. You're my man. So you're my goo.
Deinonychus, you clever girl.
All right,
Hop
guys.
on them and keep them on the ground.
That is all for this one, guys. Thanks again to our sponsors, Hit Point Press. Make sure to check them out. Always awesome stuff coming from them. Matt Colville always bringing good stuff out there. So thank you to Matt Colville. Hopefully we'll be doing stuff with him soon, maybe, question mark. So yeah, stay tuned to the channel. We got lots of cool stuff coming. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you know when new videos are coming out. And as always, thanks for watching.